It's just nice to have that person you can call on, you can rely on, and they can save you a lot of money.
As an investor, you do not need to be doing this stuff alone, and you should really be surrounding yourself with an awesome team of advisors. So in today's video, Ben and I are going to tell you exactly who you need. We're going to talk mortgage brokers, building and pest inspectors, solicitors, property managers, and a whole bunch of other people that we use.
Woof, I'm exhausted already. I just want to take the pressure off, guys. It's taken me 10, 11 years as an investor to build a world-class team. I'm actually catching up with my accountant later today, which I get excited for, which is so geeky. But when you've got a great team of people around you, you know every conversation is going to be quality. It's going to help you grow. It's going to protect you, and it's going to set your financial future up sooner. So let's talk first about a mortgage broker. What is a broker? Why is it important for us to both have one?
Yeah, a mortgage broker is essentially somebody that's helping you secure money from the bank so that you can pay for your home. It's as simple as that. You just outsource this information as opposed to you having to go to a whole bunch of different banks to try and get the best possible deal. These guys will do all of the work for you completely free because they actually end up getting paid from the banks. Now, I've worked with a couple of different mortgage brokers, and just about every single conversation I have with my broker is so empowering and makes me feel so excited about my plans.
Yeah, I've also had some convos where they're like, you can't borrow money, and I'm like, for 3 years in a row once. It was devastating. But a good broker's job is to help you not just identify where you are and what your next step is, but to link that to the bigger picture or your longer term plan. And like me, when you've had those periods where you can't do anything, they shouldn't just shut the door on you, but they should be, you know, sort of supporting you. Well, if you change this and work towards this and maybe do that, you'll get to this outcome. Now, why I use a broker is, as an individual, I can go to one bank and that bank can only give you one deal. As a broker, my broker will look at 30 or 40 different options for me and then handpick the top one or two and sort of say, based on your position, this is thing. The other thing I love about it is, as an investor, I want to focus on the properties. I'm super lazy in that side. I don't want to go running around talking to bank managers that can only give me one deal. I want them to do everything for me, and then at the end of it, you know, they get paid by the bank, as you said. Yeah,
one thing that I'm doing at the moment as well is refinancing a lot of my home loans, and this seems like a pretty challenging ordeal as well. So I would hate to have to try and do this all on my own. But essentially, I've got loans with a few different banks right now. We're going to the one bank, getting a lower interest rate, and I'm going to be saving thousands of dollars each year. And it's just I think a broker is probably the most important partner to have.
The most important person in my team. Now, for those of you who haven't gone to the banks in the last few years, rates have obviously come down massively and banks are fighting for business at the moment. So go talk to your broker, go get yourself some better rates. Or if you're looking to go buy a property in the next couple of years, make sure you find a good one that can help you get the best outcome for your position.
So the next one is a building and pest inspector. So this is a partner that you're going to use once you've actually got a property under contract. Now, what they're essentially going to do is go out to the property and conduct a building and pest inspection where they will look at every single nook and cranny in the property to make sure there's no structural or building related issues and no pests or termite issues throughout the whole property. What I like to do with my inspector, especially if it's, you know, your first or second property, is actually go out to the inspection with the building and pest inspector so he can take you through the property so you can understand literally everything that there is to know about the property.
And if you can't physically inspect it because, you know, Queensland won't let you over the border or Victoria won't let you into their state, then you can just give them a call after the inspection and just say, hey, and you know, they're going to send you a 70 to 100 page report, which is important to read. I also get my solicitor to check it out as well. But, you know, a great question is, based on everything you've seen, you know, what are the big issues? Is there any reason I should be terminating the property that you see? If they find something, what is the course of action? Like, do you have to go further into it through like an invasive inspection where they cut a little hole in a wall and put a microscope with a camera in there and check it out in more detail? And the question that I always ask my building and pest inspector is, if this was your money, would you buy this property for yourself? And most of the time, you know, they don't want you to buy a lemon either, and they'll give you honest advice. And, you know, to be honest with you, as someone that buys 100 to 150 properties a year for our clients, we will terminate at least 10 to 15 properties every year on building and pest. So it's really, really important to spend that $500 to protect your $200,000 to $1 million asset.
Definitely. And on top of this, the next partner is a solicitor, which you mentioned just before as well. A solicitor is, or a conveyancer, whatever you choose to use, is somebody that's going to help you settle on the property. They're going to negotiate with the sellers, solicitors as well. They're going to make sure that the funds are ready for the transfer at settlement date. Essentially make sure that nothing falls through the cracks for you as well, so that you're not going to end up in a sticky situation.
They also do a heap of searches, talk to them about the right ones for you and which ones they recommend. I always like to get like a flood search, like a landslide search from them. I like to get like a bushfire search, depending on where I'm buying in Australia. You know, they normally send me a list of like 6 pages of searches I could do, and I normally just say same thing. What would you do if you were buying this property to protect me for everything? You know, the prices vary massively for solicitors. I remember getting stitched up on my first property in Sydney, paying about $3,000 and another $1,000 in searches because I had no idea. And I've paid as little as $1,000 plus $600 in searches these days. So check it out. Make sure they're licensed, make sure they've got your best interests at heart, make sure they're diligent and staffed appropriately, because some of these guys are a little bit cowboyish as well, and you just need to protect your downside there too. You really want a good partner that you can trust through a referral or through really strong reviews online.
For sure. And the next is property managers. We've probably worked with a whole bunch of different property managers over the years. Yeah. We actually even started our own property management agency for a few years there, which, you know, no longer is in operation. But property managers do all the hard stuff for you.
You know, if you say the broker's the most important partner, I think the property manager's the equally. Like if we're playing chess, it's the king and the queen.
Yeah, definitely.
My property manager is amazing. They look after, they pay things like rates for me, they pay water for me, they collect the rent, they keep the tenant in line, they inspect the property, they fix any issues. They also help me organise small cosmetic renovations on the property. All of those things are super important. You need to be able to trust that person. You need to make sure that they are staffed appropriately. A really good question for your manager is, how many properties do you personally manage? If they're managing more than about 80 to 100 properties, they are completely overwhelmed and overloaded, and that means the care on your property is going to go down. In terms of the fees for a manager, I've seen management in Australia from anywhere between 5% up to about 12%. It really depends on which city you're at. You don't want the cheapest, but you certainly don't want the most expensive either. You just want a good quality manager that looks after your property like it's their own.
A whole bunch of people want to manage the properties themselves because they don't want to spend the $20 to $50 per week to pay a property manager.
I did that in the past. It was a nightmare.
I just don't think it's a great idea at all, because, you know, these guys are the pros. It's what they do day in and day out. They've got the team to support them. They've got the tradies and whatnot to lean on if you need to do some maintenance items or some small cosmetic renovations. And after working in the property management business for a bit, it is pretty damn difficult.
It's hard work. It's a hard way to make a living as a property manager. It's rough.
Every conversation's quite negative, so I think they pay their weight in gold and definitely make sure that you've got the right one in the area.
I remember when I was first getting started on my first property, I was thinking that management would be easy, so I put like a really loose associate friend in there that I played soccer with. He ended up unfortunately getting really bad into drugs, and I was going around to his house on a Friday night to collect the rent. Then he just stopped answering my calls, stopped paying the rent. It just became a nightmare to get him out of the place. And so I decided that I would have a good manager. Had probably 10 really bad ones, and you know, when you find that one, you keep them, you look after them, and you make sure you nurture that relationship.
So they're the 4 must-haves, I would say, the 4 must-have partners, which is a mortgage broker, a building and pest inspector, a solicitor, and a property manager. But then there's some secondary partners that we personally use, which help us make sure that we're getting the best possible result from our investments.
So the accountant is absolutely crucial. Talk to them about the best way to keep records for your property, talk to them about all of the tax advantages of being an investor and what they might be able to help you do. Make sure you, again, find someone that's licensed with a great reputation, that doesn't charge you an arm and a leg but isn't too cheap, that has experience as an investor, that also has an experience in working with people on wages or a business, depending on your situation. It's a very personal relationship, but at the end of the day, you want someone that's got your best interests at heart again, that is 100% black or white in terms of the way that they do it, because the last thing you want long-term is an issue because of some form of dodgy accounting, and unfortunately there's heaps of that out there as well.
As investors, this should be a business decision. You're trying to get the best return on your investment, so having an awesome accountant that can put a little bit more money back in your pockets or reduce your taxable income or maximize your depreciation benefits, every little penny helps.
I think the next person that I've got in my portfolio that's powerful is the town planner.
Yes.
Now, regardless of what I'm trying to do with the property that I'm buying at the time, I get the town planner to do what I call a site inspection report, which effectively looks at flooding, landslide, bushfires, everything you can imagine on the property to just make sure it ticks their boxes and it's okay and there's no red flags. In certain development sites I've done, like a subdivision or building a granny flat and stuff like that, they're absolutely worth their weight in gold to review the property, to make sure that you can do it against the current town plan, and to, you know, just support you as someone you can call to help hold your hand as you mature as an investor and move on with more advanced strategies.
And things are going to change over time with the town plan as well. So having these guys that have got their finger on the pulse and know what movements could be happening in the area, it's really nice to know, because, you know, something that happened down in Melbourne a while ago is they allowed people to subdivide smaller lots, which wasn't allowed in the past. So, you know, having a town planner that can say this and educate you on these opportunities, you know, your block could in the future potentially turn into a development site.
I've seen this with people without town planners in Brisbane 4 or 5 years ago, where there were major changes to the town plan and a lot of the agents and the people selling the properties didn't know about it for the first year and a half. And so sites that should have been worth $1 million were selling for 500K, and people were just getting absolutely ripped off. Now, for me, I would never sell a property without understanding from the town planner what the highest and best use is, so that I can market that accordingly and get the best on resale in the future. Also get a better revaluation because the land value is spiked as well. So it's not just important on the way in for due diligence, but also during the holding and the way out as well.
No doubt about it. And the next is a builder. This is somebody that is extremely important because there's a lot of sharks out there in the construction game. A lot of people that may not have your best interest at the top of the mind, to put it lightly. So making sure that you've got that right partner that you can trust, that's going to offer you competitive rates and not, you know, hide bits and pieces of money here or there throughout the contract.
You know, a builder's important, whether you're buying a piece of land and building or doing a subdivision or a townhouse project, or just something as simple as Simon and I are doing at the moment, which is really sort of basic cosmetic renos. It's just nice to have that person you can call on, you can rely on, and they can save you a lot of money. Now, if you don't know where to start with that, generally asking your property management agency is a good place to start. Alternatively, you can use places like High Pages, or you can just use the Google reviews to find a good trade or a referral. Like Simon said, with all of these partners, there are goodies and baddies, just the same as anything in life. So do your due diligence. Make sure you talk to a few people before you start anything like that. The last one is a buyer's agent. Now, effectively, a buyer's agency like our business is someone that will sit down with you and talk about where you are and understand where you're looking to go, then educate you on the market and help go out there and inspect the properties on your behalf, negotiate with the agents on your behalf, introduce you to great people like we've talked about in today's video, and just manage that process so that you don't have to be pounding the pavement or on realestate.com every single night like I used to be to find that right property.
Yeah, some of the challenges that come up for a lot of people is they might be really busy and not have the time to be able to give property investing the time it deserves to get the right result. Some people just may not have the experience and may not have the market knowledge to have the confidence to go out there and do it alone. And most of all, I think people just want to avoid making mistakes, and having somebody that's got the experience, that's got the runs on the board, that knows how to maneuver through the market, has that local knowledge, can definitely help you avoid making those mistakes and hopefully set you up to get the best possible deal.
You know, in terms of looking for a great buyer's agent, you want people with experience. You want them to be focused on one market. You don't want them to be looking at everything. You want them to have a really clear strategy that aligns with where you want to be longer term. And you want them to be values-based people who you can relate to and who are living the kind of life that you are working towards or currently living yourself. So I didn't even know what a buyer's agent was when I bought my first 5 or 6 properties. Luckily enough, I found out about it. Super common in America, very common in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne and Perth now. You know, in terms of Simon and I, we would love the opportunity, if that's something that you're looking for, to talk about where you are, where you want to be. We can offer you a free strategy session, and you can book that by going to www.pumpedonproperty.com. We only work with a very small number of people each month because we want that personal experience. And there's only a really small number of great properties that sell in any market on any given month as well. So you want to make sure the buyer's agent can get you the on-market listings, but also the off-market listings through their relationships. I think we talked on the previous video that we'd bought about $240 million worth of property now. That's like lifetimes and lifetimes worth of experience for the average person every single year. And because of that, we're able to do things that other people aren't. So super excited for you to build a world-class team. Know that it takes time, and know that it's okay if you find the wrong partner as a broker or a solicitor. Then, like I have and Simon has, learned from that, pivot, go find a better one until you end up with a team of great people that are investors themselves that can help you get from where you want to be to where you want to go as safely and conservatively as possible.
Thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. Please give us a like, please subscribe to the channel and share this video to somebody who's getting into the market at the moment.
Oh, sweaty, so sweaty.